AK-47, also officially known as Avtomat Kalashnikova, it is a Russian word, is a gas-operated 7.62 into 39 mm assault rifle developed in the Soviet Union by Mikhail Kalashnikov. It is originated firearm of Kalashnikov rifle or AK family. The number 47 refers to the year it was finished. History. During World War II, the Sturmgewehr 44 rifle used by German forces made a deep impression of their Soviet counterparts. The Select Fire rifle was campered for a new intermediate cartridge. The 7.92 into 33 mm cruised and combined the firepower of submachine gun with the range and accuracy of rifle. On 15th July 1943, an earlier model was demonstrated before the People's Commissionerate of Arms of USSR. The Soviets were impressed with the weapon and immediately set about developing an intermediate caliber fully automatic rifle of their own to replace the PPSH 41 submachine guns and outdated Mosin Nagant bolt action rifles that armed most of the Soviet army. The Soviets soon developed the 7.62 into 39 mm M43 cartridge, the semi-automatic SKS carbine and the RPD light machine gun. Shortly after World War II, the Soviets developed the AK-47 rifle, which would quickly replace the SKS in Soviet service. Introduced in 1959, the AKM is a lighter stamped steel version at the most variant of the entire AK series of firearms. In the 1960s, the Soviets introduced the RPK light machine gun, an AK-type weapon with a stronger receiver and a longer, heavy barrel and a bipod that would eventually replace the RPD light machine gun. Concept about AK-47. Mikhail Kalashnikov began his career as a weapon designer in 1941 while form of shoulder wound which he received during the Battle of Bryansk. He himself stated, "I was in the hospital and a soldier in the bed beside me asked, why do our soldiers have only one rifle or 2 or 3 of our men when the Germans have automatics? So I designed one. I was a soldier and I created a machine gun for a soldier. It was called an Avtomatic Kalashnikova, the automatic weapon of Kalashnikova AK. It carried the year of its first manufacture in 1947. The AK-47 is best described as the hybrid of previous rifle technology inventions. Kalashnikov decided to design an automatic rifle combining the best features of the American M1 and the German SIG-44. Kalashnikov team had access to these weapons and had no need to reinvent the wheel. Kalashnikov himself observed a lot of Russian army soldiers, asked me how one can become a constructor and how new weaponry is designed. These are very difficult questions. Each designer seems to have his own path, his own success and failure. But one thing is clear, before attempting to create something new, it is vital to have a good appreciation of everything and already exists in the field. I myself had many experience confirming this to be so. Early designs of AK. He started work on the submachine gun design in 1942 with a light machine gun in 1943. Early in 1944, Kalashnikov was given some 7.62 into 39 mm M43 cartridges and informed that there were several designers working on weapons for this new Soviet small arms cartridge. It was suggested to him that his new weapon might well lead to greater things, and he undertook work on the new rifle. In 1944, he entered a design competition with a new 7.62 into 39 mm semi-automatic gas-operated long-stroke pistol carbine, strongly influenced by the American M1 Garand. The rifle that Kalashnikov designed was in the same class as a familiar SKS-45 Spinov with fixed magazine and gas tube above the barrel. However, this new Kalashnikov design lost out the Simnov design. In 1946, a new design competition was intended to develop a new rifle. Kalashnikov submitted an entry. It was a gas-operated rifle with a short stock gas piston above the barrel, a branch block mechanism similar to this 1944 carbine, and the curved 30-round magazine. Kalashnikov rifles AK-1 with a mild receiver and AK-2 with a stamped receiver proved to be a reliable weapons and were accepted to be a second round of competition along the other designs. In November 1947, the new prototypes AK-47 were completed. It used a long-stroke gas piston above the barrel. The upper and the lower receivers were combined into a single receiver. The selector and safety were combined into a single control level test cover on the right side of the rifle, and the bolt handle was simply attached to a bolt carrier. This was the design and production of the rifle. The first Army trial series began in early 1948. The new rifle proved to be reliable under a wide range of conditions. With a convenient handling characteristics in 1949, it was adopted by the Soviet Army. 7.62 mm Kalashnikov rifle AK. Further development of AK-47. There were many difficulties during the internal phase of production. The first production models had stamped sheet metal receivers with a milled tune. The buttstock insert and the stamped body difficulties were encountered in welding the guide and ejector rails, causing high rejection rates instead of handling production. A heavy machined receiver was substituted for a sheet metal receiver. Even though production of these mild rifles started in 1951, they were officially referred to as the AK-49 based on the date they developed started, but they are much widely known in the characters and current commercial market as Type 2 AK-47. This was more a costly process, but the use of machine receivers accelerated production as tooling and labor of earlier Mosin-Nagant rifles machine receiver were easily adapted. Partly because of these problems, the Soviets were not able to distribute large number of new rifles to soldiers until 1956. During this time, production of the interim SKS rifle continued. Once the manufacturing difficulties of non-mild receivers had been overcome, a redesigned version designated the AKM-M for modernized or ungraded version. This new model used a stamped sheet metal receiver and featured a slanted muzzle brake off the end of the barrel to compensate for muzzle rise under recoil. In addition to hammer, retractor was added to prevent the weapon from firing out the battery without the bolt being fully closed during rapid or fully automatic fire. This is also sometimes referred to as a cycling rate reducer or simply rate reducer, as it also had the effect of reducing the number of rounds fired per minute during fully automatic fire. It was also roughly 1/3 lighter than the previous model. Receiver type description: Type 1A B. The original stamped receiver for AK-47, first produced in 1948, adopted in 1949. The 1B was modified for an underfolding stock with a large hole present on the each side of the accommodate the hardware of the underfolding stock. Type 2A B. the first mild receiver made from steel forging. It went into production in 1951 and production entered in 1957. The Type 2A has a distinguished chalked metal boot connecting the buttstock to the receiver and the mild lightning cut to the sides run parallel to the barrel. Type 3B, final version of AK mild receiver made from steel bar stock. It went into production in 1955. The most example of mild receiver AK, the mild lightning cut on the sides is slanted to the barrel axis. Final Type 4AB, AKM receiver stamped from a smooth 1.0 mm 0.04 in sheet of the steel supported extensively by pins and rivets. It went into production in 1959. Overall, the most used design in the concept of the AK series rifles. Replacement. In 1974, the Soviets began replacing their AK-47 and AKM rifles with a newer design, AK-74, which uses 5.45 into 39 mm ammunition. This new rifle and cartridge had only started to be manufactured in Eastern European nations when the Soviet Union collapsed, drastically slowing production of the AK-74, other weapons of the former Soviet bloc. Characteristics, service life. The AK-47 and its variants have been made in the dozens of countries, the quality ranging from finely engaged weapons to pieces of questionable workmanship. As a result, the AK-47 has a service system life of approximately 6,000 to 10,000 to 50,000 rounds. AK-47 was redesigned to be a cheap, simple, easy to manufacture rifle, perfectly matching Soviet military and doctrine, the threats, equipment and the weapons as disposable items, as units are often relied without logistical support and depend on the battlefield cannibalism for resupply. It is actually more cost effective to replace rather than repair weapons. The AK-47 has small parts and springs that need to be replaced every few thousand rounds. However, every time it is beyond the field stripping stage, it will take some time for some parts to regain their fit. Some parts may tend to shake loose and fall out when firing the weapon. Some parts of the AK-47 line are rewinded together, and repairing these can be quite a hassle, since the end of the rivet has to ground off and the new one set and the part is replaced. Variants. Early variants 7.62 into 39 mm, issue of 1948-49, Type 1. The every earliest model stamped sheet metal receiver are now very rare. Issue of 1951, Type 2 has a mild receiver barrel and chamber of chrome plated to resist corrosion. Issue of 1954-55, Type 3, light and mild receiver variant rifle weight is 3.47 kg, 7.7 lb. AKS 47 1x203 receiver featured a downward folding metal stock similar to that of the MP40, produced in Nazi Germany for use in restricted space in BMP infantry combat vehicle as well as by paratroops. AKM, a simplified lighter version of AK-47 Type 4. Receiver is made from stamped and lightweight sheet metal. A slanted muzzle device for added to counter climb in automatic fire rifle weight in 3.1 kg, 6.8 lb due to lighter receiver. This is the most equipment variant of AK-47. AKMS underfolding stock version of AKM intended for airborne troops. AKMN, AKMSN night scope rail. AKML, AKMSL slotted flash suppressor, the night scope rail. RPK handheld machine gun version with longer barrel and depot. The variants RPKS, RPKN, RPKSN, RPKL, RPKSL mirror AKM variants. These variants have a side folding wooden stock. Foreign variant 7.62 into 39 mm, Type 56 Chinese assault rifle based on AK-47, especially Type 3 and AKM rifles, still in production primarily for export markets. Production country: military variants as automatic Star 1978 Model 56 ASH My 78 Tip 1 made as Polisian Arsenal copy of Type 56 based on AKM rifle Model 56 Tip 2 copy of RPK Model 56 Tip 3 hybrid for multi-purpose roles with secondary rifle and grenade launcher capability 1982 Model ASH 82 copy of AKS. There are many country based on AK-47 rifles. I have given one country example only.